This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hey, London, we're coming to do shows next month, soon. September 16th and 17th at King's Place. And if you're sitting there feeling sorry for yourself because you don't live in London, well, guess what? You can get there via the power of the internet because we're also doing a live stream show from London.
Yeah.
That you can watch anywhere in the world.
It's the same show that the in-person people will be seeing in person.
Yes, but you'll be seeing it through the magic of the internet. The shows are September 16th and 17th. September 17th, that's a Saturday, is the show that we also have available for live streaming tickets. The ticket prices are very affordable, and you can find them at tcgte.com/live. I'm going to take out that very affordable part. I'm not selling a car. September 16th and 17th. Tickets available at tcgte.com/live. Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, how are you doing this week?
Tom, I am feeling good about myself and the impact that I'm having on the world.
Well, we'll see if we can fix that by the end of the episode.
I know you try to tear me down, but not today, my friend. I did something. I want to know if you've ever done this.
Okay. If it's like something good, probably.
Yeah, something
altruistic. Is it like donating a lot of money to a charity anonymously?
No. It's donating a little bit of money to, I don't think it's a charity, and
Tim.
not anonymously. Tom, you ever go into Wikipedia and you always just ignore those please at the top? Today I was like, you know what? Actually, it says like, please do not scroll past this today on Thursday of all days or something. And I was like, all right.
Oh, this updates dynamically?
But they always have this donation thing on, and they're always like, oh, it's dire. Wikipedia might end. Have you ever donated to it?
I have donated to Wikipedia before, despite them being one of our primary competitors.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you one thing about Wikipedia?
What's that?
I think it's the only good thing on the internet.
I've seen other people point that out, that it's like one of the last like remnants of the old internet where it hasn't been turned into something. It hasn't either died or turned into something that has to make billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's just a useful resource.
Yeah.
that is like against all odds. Incredibly accurate. I wouldn't know if it's not. But,
right. For the most part, it is.
Yeah. And like, just where else can you find comprehensive information on the internet? You can't.
You know. Yeah. And I feel like it's one of those things, too, that like when it was new, like 10 or 15 years ago, there were a lot of jokes about like, oh, and the great thing is anyone can update it so you know it's accurate.
Right.
And it turned out like, oh, actually, there's like, not anyone can update it. There's a system. You're not just editing it live, but yeah, they've got safeguards in there. Stuff slips through, of course.
Yeah,
but
usually like temporarily, right?
Temporarily, and also I think it's pretty good with the editors on there like marking things citation needed.
Right.
So like if I read something that I'm like, oh really, and it says citation needed, then I know, oh maybe not.
Really,
okay.
No, yeah. Anyway, I'm a great man, Tom.
How much did you donate? Do you care to disclose?
How much do you think I donated?
$5.
No. Oh, no.
$2.
No.
Oh,
the other way.
$10.
Tom,
$20?
No, not $20.
Okay.
I'm trying to. It was either 10 or 15, but guess what? They also asked, "Do you want to add on 40 cents to take care of the process?"
Cover, yeah, and he
yeah,
said no.
Yeah, I do. No, I do.
Wow.
It was 50. I spent $15.40. It was a little annoying. Sometimes when you're donating to something and they're like, "Are you?" Well, the average donation is $17.66. It's like, all right, well, I just agreed to give you $15.
Yeah, hey, maybe don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
And then you click through, and they're like, instead of giving $15, would you like to give $2 monthly in perpetuity? And it's like, I understand the sell here, but again, Wikipedia, now you're starting to piss me off.
Right.
And you don't want to get on my bad side.
Yeah, because next thing you know, you'll be sending them invoices.
Exactly. And they're an honest bunch. They're not going to let an invoice go unpaid.
No. You always hear about people just like randomly sending invoices to like the government or companies and then getting paid, and then they get in trouble and they go to jail. I think that should be legal. I think you should be allowed to do that.
I think that should be legal. I think if the bank accidentally puts money in your account and you take it out, guess what?
Yeah.
That's on the bank. Sorry, Jamie Dimon. That's coming out of your pay.
Yeah, please consult the case of finders versus keepers.
Exactly.
On that one.
But yeah, I think if you can scam somebody that easily, you get in trouble. If you're just
invoices,
like, hey, you owe me, like you're going to a guy and saying, you owe me $250, and he's like, okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, that's a rube. You're allowed to do that.
yeah, these hayseeds.
Yeah. I wonder, I was going to say, I wonder if there are any countries where that is legal, and I'm sure that there are. I'm sure probably like some of the countries where a lot of scams targeted at our country
Is it illegal for me to go up to a guy on the street and be like, you owe me $2?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you were like harassing him about it.
Yeah, but
one
I think invoice and then a couple follow-ups,
a couple
notice.
of angry voicemails.
Yeah.
Threatening legal action.
Learning the names of these people's family members and their address.
And what their habits are.
Exactly.
What their day-to-day life is like. What their schedules are when they leave.
What kind of car
come.
they drive. Where they park. How to snip the
brake lines? Yeah. Where a good place to bury them near their home might be.
Are you ever afraid of your brake lines getting cut?
No, not really. Should I be?
No, I don't think so. It's never occurred to me.
How accessible are they? Can't be that accessible, right? Because you gotta. I would think you don't have the brake lines just hanging out there so that they could like accidentally get severed by a rock
you just,
or something.
Well, yeah, I guess you don't want them severed by a rock.
No.
But I think, as with anything on a car, if you know where to look, it's not hard to find.
I test my brakes every time before I drive.
Yeah, I go a few times.
Yeah, like a first time driver.
Exactly,
That's the way I go down the street.
Yeah.
Are you ever afraid, speaking of this, of somebody stealing your catalytic converter?
That's a thing, right?
Yeah, it's like a
because
big
those
thing
are,
nowadays.
Very valuable.
They've got, I think, palladium and platinum in them.
Like all the records that line my walls. Tom.
You have palladium records?
Platinum records.
Oh, I see.
And I got those platinum records by playing concerts at the Palladium.
Dropped my iPad.
Yeah,
that made me laugh so hard. Yeah, apparently you can just like melt it down. There's like a decent amount of both those materials in there. And it's also like something very accessible. You can get to it with just like a hacksaw and take it off in a few minutes.
I had to replace the catalytic converter in my last car.
Well, I hope you didn't just tell them, yeah, you can keep the old one.
I should have taken that home and melted the platinum out of it.
I'm gonna melt that down. Well, I don't know. I can't imagine the people stealing them are like melting down the stuff. I imagine you can like open it up and get that stuff out of there, and then that's what they're going to.
Yeah.
Or they're like selling it to somebody that can kind of like launder it, you know. It's like I imagine you can't go to like, you know, the bank. Like, I'd like to deposit some platinum. It's inside this catalytic converter that I sawed.
I think learning like one specific piece of information, like how do you get the platinum out of a catalytic converter?
Yeah.
That's a whole career path. Now you can be a middleman for criminals.
Yeah. And if they come around saying, hey, where'd these come from? Hey, I don't ask questions.
Yeah. It's none of my business.
Hey, do you ask who's sending you invoices at where you work before you pay them? I don't think so. So it's the same thing here.
Tom, this week we have an ambitious crossover episode.
Yeah, a crossover with a little show called Books the Podcast.
Yes. And if you like what you hear here, our guests today are the hosts of Books the Podcast, and a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah.
And you can coincidentally subscribe to it at patreon.com/complete guide.
Yeah. How'd they get that?
Yeah. Please welcome Tim and Tom
Hey.
from Books the Podcast.
Hey, thanks so much for having us. This is going to get very confusing very quickly.
Let's drop that bit.
All right.
This week we're going to talk about reading books, Tom.
Yeah, something we do on that other podcast.
Yeah.
And you know what, Tim? I'll say this, something I do even when there isn't a podcast involved from time to time.
From time to time. Don't
Yeah.
act like you're reading books. Oh, when I'm not podcasting, I'm reading.
I didn't say books, Tim. I'm talking about stop signs and one-way signs.
I'm reading coupons. Because I love a deal.
I'm reading graffiti on the wall of a bathroom stall.
Yeah, you're calling whatever numbers are there. Breathing heavily.
I'm surprised that's something I'm surprised you haven't seen updated with, like, DM me on Instagram at this.
Well, the number was
Yeah.
never like an actual lady came into the
No,
men's
it
bathroom.
was somebody trying to screw over like a friend or whatever, being
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, call this number for Lydia for a good time."
Yeah.
And it's
That's
really
not Lydia.
your,
Or if
your-
it is Lydia, it's this guy's ex.
Oh yeah,
Harass
yeah,
my ex.
You're helping him out in that case.
Nowadays, they don't write no. They swat their exes, right?
Yeah, they
dox them.
yeah, or a dachshund SWAT. Do them
The
both at the
old
same
dox
time.
and SWAT.
Yeah, the good old days, you would just have a bunch of horny perverts call your ex.
But do the perverts must catch on, right? Like, I've been calling all these numbers I've seen on men's room walls.
Yeah, but you know what? I bet they think that, and then they go, "But what if this one's a real one? What if just some big old slut came in here and was
All right,
just
okay,
like,
Tom.
like I nothing's working. I'm trying to put myself out
Yeah,
there."
I guess if you're a big old pervert, you're gonna like be like, well, only one of these needs to be
exactly.
true.
And
Gotta cast a wide net.
Yeah, and
It's
it would
a
be just
huge perv.
It would be just the pervert's luck that
Tom, please don't use that language again on the show. This show about reading books.
What? People could be proud to be sluts,
All
Tim.
right,
You shouldn't
Tom.
be. Oh,
I'm
are you
not
slut shaming?
No.
Tim, come on.
Okay.
It's fine to be a slut nowadays.
Celebrated even.
Yeah. And if you want to march into a bathroom and write your phone number on the wall and offer strangers a good time, then that's between you and your God.
Right.
Anyway,
The God of sluts.
the slut God. We're talking about reading books this week.
This is off to an inauspicious start, Tom.
Tim, do you like reading books?
Tom, theoretically, I like reading books. Do I always read books?
I like reading books about theoretical physics.
I know that about you, Tom.
Yeah, I'm a very smart guy.
I like reading books about film theory.
Oh, really? So you like going to the art section in the bookstore?
I do like going to the art section. Like, you want to know 2 books I'm reading right now? I'm reading 3 books right now.
Wow.
One is a book.
One with one eye, one with the other, and the other is Braille.
One is a book that I'm reading because it's going to be a movie soon. And I was like, I'll read the book before I see the movie.
Is it Black Adam starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Yeah, it's got pictures, and most of the words are in dialogue form. Another book is a book written by a rock star about his life. Another book is it's written by a sitcom director about
Okay.
sitcom. So basically, it's just like I walk to I like movies and music and stuff,
Yeah.
and TV. I like my books to reflect that.
Yeah, well, that's... hey.
I used to think I was smart. Now
Uh-huh.
I've embraced the fact that I don't need to be smart.
I think that's actually
I'm
like...
good looking. I don't need to be smart.
I think that's actually a thing about books. I think so many people get kind of like caught up with like, I got to read important books. I got to read, challenging.
Ulysses.
Yeah, challenging books and difficult books. And if you want to do that and you're able to do that, awesome. But like, if you don't want to do that, or if you're just not able to do that, like we've both, I'm sure, tried to read things that are like, oh, this is a classic, and it's one of the 100 books you got to read before you die, and you read it and you're like, this sucks.
I wish I was dead.
I wish I were dead. I wouldn't have to read this book anymore.
Yeah, I'd rather be dead. Read this before I die. I'll wait till I'm dead. I'll read when I'm dead.
I'll read when I'm on death row.
Got a lot of time, but
Yeah.
you got to read all those legal tomes.
Yeah.
To figure out how to get out of that.
Well, yeah.
That tight spot you're in.
First thing I gotta do on death row, Tim, is get pass the bar exam so I can represent myself in court.
Exactly.
And then I've got and then I can actually start researching the case.
And then after that, once you're out, you can start representing other people. You've passed the bar. Congratulations, you've turned your life around.
Who wouldn't hire me? Who else on death row wouldn't hire the guy who got himself off death row?
You wouldn't even but that's biting off a lot, right? Like that would be a great thing to do.
Yeah.
But,
I have
like,
a
you
feeling
could
those
just, like-
cases don't pay that well.
Death row
Yeah.
cases, yeah. I mean,
Probably because like a lot of people on death row are like real bad people that don't have a ton of money.
right, and some of them are there unjustly.
Yeah.
No, I think like
And they've already spent all their money trying to get off it.
you've had your rainmaker case, getting yourself off of death row. Now you just kind of
I
do
can
like
just take small cases.
tax fraud or something. Become like a white collar criminal.
Yeah, I'll become a corporate lawyer. I'm
Yeah,
sure a lot of
exactly.
corporations would be like, we gotta get the guy who got himself off death row for murdering all those women.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be fun at the Christmas party. Hey, tell them the story about
Yeah. About
how you
how
got away with murdering all those women.
Then put yourself through your own self-made law school.
Yeah. Ooh, you can incorporate your own law school too, Tom.
Oh, I mean, that I'm planning on doing regardless of whether I... Can you just open a school and just say, like, the school's unaccredited, and then that's fine?
I think so. I think
And
that
if
got
you can't,
certain high-profile former presidents in trouble at one point.
I mean, that's another thing that I think you should be allowed to do.
Just be like, hey, I'm going to provide a service, and it sucks, but you're going to have to pay me for it.
Well, I think you should be allowed to say, I'm going to provide a service, and it's great, and then if it sucks... yeah, it's fine. No, I mean, that I don't think you should be allowed to do, but I'm saying, like, starting your own school and just being like, it's unaccredited. Nobody's going to give a shit about the piece of paper we give you, but guess what?
Right.
That's fine. They're probably not going to ask.
I think that's like a lot of schools right now, yeah.
Oh, we should get in on that racket.
We should.
Teach our own laws.
Yeah. And here's the rule at my school. No homework.
Wow.
No teachers.
No teachers. Yeah. Who wouldn't want to
get
sign
rid of
for
all the
that
things
school?
that suck about school.
But I was saying, like, I think I know I've fallen into this trap where I've tried to read something that I believe would be good for me to read. And in fairness, I've read a few things where it's like, I thought that was boring, but people say it's great. And then I read it. It's like, oh, I can see what people are talking about. This is a life-changing book or whatever. But more times than not, it's like, oh, this is a slog. And now I'm not reading at all because I'm looking at that book like it's homework, like it's something that I don't want to do.
And then you're not.
And I'm having to read pages over and over because like my mind starts wandering, and that's no good because now you're not reading. So I'm all for,
Tom,
if you want to read movie novelizations your whole life, then that's fine.
This is a look, 40 books, everyone should read. No. Let's go to the 100 best books of all time.
Okay.
As listed by Goodreads.com.
Okay.
And we'll go through the top 10. Have you read these books?
Okay.
Number 1, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen.
Yeah, in high school.
I think I was supposed to. I didn't read it. Number 2, 1984.
Yeah, in high school.
No, you read that for Books the Podcast.
Yeah.
Crime and Punishment.
No.
Dostoevsky.
Dostoevsky.
Yeah, me neither. Hamlet.
I know. It's big.
Yeah. They always talk about it. Or they always talk about War and Peace.
Yeah, War and Peace. I
That's,
don't know if Crime and Punishment's big.
It's the same thing. Hamlet, which, hey, Goodreads, idiot. That's a play, not a book.
Yeah.
Disqualified.
I've seen Hamlet. And
You and I saw it at the Globe Theater.
Yeah, of all things.
Shakespeare himself was playing the lead role that night.
Yeah.
He came out of retirement.
Does that count, Goodreads?
Yeah.
Is that good enough for you that we saw it? And
A
Shakespeare
thing that
himself?
you didn't even know wasn't a goddamn book?
Yeah. But I think we read it in high school, too.
Yeah. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
No.
Tom? Mm-hmm. Book rules.
Yeah.
I thought,
Is it about a man who puts himself through law school?
it's about
Gets
generations
out
of
on
a
his
family, and there's lots of
100th
like
birthday.
weird inbreeding, and everybody has like the same name, but it's really good.
You're not selling it.
I know on paper it's not good, but on paper that
is printed on.
yeah, it is good.
How long is it?
It's not short.
Okay, but not
It's probably
crazy.
I'm gonna say like 350 to 400 pages.
Yeah.
Anna Karenina.
No.
I haven't read a lot of the any.
Russian?
I shouldn't say any a lot. I haven't read any.
Yeah.
The Odyssey by
Yes.
Homer Simpson.
Tim, it's a different Homer.
I
that
wish.
I know. That I read in high school. And that I do remember actually liking.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, this is like quite an odyssey this guy's going on.
Yeah, I don't. That was too much. Like that always seemed too primitive. It just seemed like, and a long time ago, this guy made up like this long story off the top of his head. It was like, and then there was a giant, and he had to face the giant.
You won't believe what happens next.
This is like, yeah, I get it. This guy was telling a story for like the 5th time ever in history, maybe, but like, I don't know. It just doesn't come together for me. Number 8, The Stranger, Albert Camus.
I think it's Billy Joel.
Yeah, it's got a nice whistle at the beginning.
The book has a nice whistle at the beginning.
Yeah, it's you gotta
Especially printed when you open it.
well, the
on a windy day.
first version of it was an audiobook, Tom.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a good book, Tom.
Yeah, I never read it.
The number 9, The Brothers Karamazov.
No.
Again, it's one of those Russian ones. One of the Russian ones I didn't read.
Now, what is this? The top rated books?
The top books of all time, Tom.
Okay.
The best books of all time.
As-
It's the World Library List.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if it was like a user generated.
No,
list.
no. I guess I gave Goodreads credit for this. It's not. It's the World Library. And number 10.
We'll bleep all those parts out.
Yeah, I don't want
We don't want to cut them out, but we'll bleep them out.
Great Expectations by
Yes.
Charlie Dick.
Yeah. That also I remember reading in high school.
That was a cool book.
Yeah. The Best of Times? No, it's Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah,
It
that was a
starts
cool
way.
book too.
Yeah.
I like that Dickens guy.
I mean, I do remember thinking it was interesting, like learning in high school that like a lot, maybe all of his books were written as like serials.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and I think that's why they've kind of survived, because it still has like, oh, I want to keep going.
You'll never believe what happens next. He learned a lot from Homer, Tom.
Yeah.
Also, I enjoyed learning that it's like, oh, in his time, like this was just crap. Like people are just like, it was like soap operas. Like it was just like nobody took it seriously.
Yeah, all the hoity-toity guys look down their little spectacles and monocles at Dickens. Who do you think is going to be the author nowadays that like 150 years from now is going to be seen as like a classic, but that we look down our nose at? Is it going to be like a Dan Brown or a like a 50 Shades of Grey that people are going to be like, no, actually, people at the time, it was popular, but people didn't realize just how. I think that is starting to happen with Stephen King, or not starting. It has happened.
Oh
with
yeah,
Stephen
he's
King,
been legitimized.
where he was like in the 80s and seen as like a very schlocky writer, and now people are like, oh no, he's legit, he's good.
Don't sleep on Jessica Simpson, Tom.
Oh, the former pop star?
Yeah, in her book, guess what? It's classically named Open Book.
Oh,
it's clever
okay.
right there.
Yeah.
She reveals for the first time her inner monologue and most intimate struggles.
So it's just like a running inner monologue.
Yeah.
She's going about her day.
Yeah, she just carried around one of those little recorders.
Remember to buy milk. Where'd I park the car?
She thought
I wonder
tuna
what my
was chicken,
ex-husband.
Tom.
I wonder what my ex-husband Nick Lachey's up to nowadays. I can tell you what he's up to. He's hosting these garbage shows on Netflix that are fantastic to watch.
Yeah, we should do an episode about that instead of books.
It'd be a lot more fun, I'll tell you that much. Talking about all the drama happening on these shows.
Tom, do you feel like you read enough books? Do you aspire to read more?
Yeah, I think I always aspire to read more. I go through phases, I think. And I think that's like why I was talking a lot about like if you get stuck on something and you're just kind of like, ugh. But sometimes I've been stuck on something and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to like sit down for like, an hour and just read. And then that's gotten me through that. And now all of a sudden I'm in it and I finish the book fairly quickly after that.
Yeah. Do you think our brains have gotten too broken to properly read books?
Tim, I think our brains have gotten too broken to do much of anything useful anymore.
This like, I always used to think back to like, oh, before I had a smartphone though, like I would always use that as a gauge to be like, what would I be doing right now if I didn't have a smartphone?
Yeah.
But now that's like...
You'd be reading Maxim magazine, probably.
Exactly. Or stuff. I was more of a stuff guy, Tom. I like gadgets.
But regardless, you'd be educating yourself. You'd be learning something new.
But now that's like 15, 16 years ago before I had a smartphone.
Yeah,
like,
it's almost half our life ago.
The die is cast.
Yeah.
I'm just a dumb guy now. I've been a dumb guy for a decade and a half.
Yeah, I was thinking about that recently, how, because I always think about, like, me and you were both elder millennials. That's the name for us. Like, we're at the tail end there. So
we're old. We're going to die soon.
Whereas, like, Gen Z grew up with the internet. We got the internet. Like, I mean,
like,
for
what the hell? There's an internet now? I remember waking up one day and seeing on the cover of the newspaper, well, this might be the last cover of the newspaper you ever see because the internet is here.
Check your mail. There's an AOL disc, and it's going to blow your mind.
And it did.
Yeah. So I always think of myself as like, I was like, I remember the world before all this stuff. But I mean, to your point, it's like, I remember the world. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember it fondly, but I just can't. It's the same way. It's like, I remember ice cream with my grandpa. But guess what? My grandpa is dead now.
I'm sorry to hear that, Tim. When did that happen?
1996.
Oh, well, that was before I had the internet. That would explain why I didn't hear about it at the time.
Yeah. Normally I would have posted something real nice on Facebook about it.
Yeah, or at least left an AOL away message with some poignant lyrics.
Yeah.
That would clue me in.
Here's to the nights we owe. You remember that Eve 6 song?
No, I don't remember that Eve 6 song. I'm sorry, Tim.
It was sentimental.
I'll have to take your word for it.
Tom, we all know how to read books. And if
not everybody.
Yeah, if you don't know how to read a book, turn this off and go learn how to read first.
Yeah.
Or don't. They got audiobooks now.
I mean, you should learn how to read. I think we should be promoting literacy on this podcast.
Yeah, but I don't think we should shame people.
Oh, of course
who are
not.
illiterate.
No, I mean, that's awful. Like when you hear stories about like just seems like an incredibly stressful way to live. And like nobody.
Well, we've all seen that episode of Punky Brewster.
Well, and like, I mean, in America, at least, like, you know, anyone that's illiterate, there's like a very, usually like very sad reason why they're illiterate. And they like kind of missed that chance of learning how to read and then had to pretend.
Yeah, there's like a shame associated with it.
Have this incredibly anxious life of like being discovered to be illiterate any minute.
Well, if you heard that this episode was about reading books and you didn't read it, and you wanted to be like, oh, maybe this will teach me how to read. Sadly, we cannot teach literacy.
Yeah, but maybe there's a few listeners, Tim, who had absolutely no interest in reading before, and now they're like, well, Tim and Tom are like it.
Yeah, they enjoy cracking open the spine on a nice new book.
That's
Tom,
the sound.
Your reading habits.
Uh-huh.
This is a snap judgment.
Okay.
Ebook or real book?
It depends.
It was supposed to be snap, and then I forgot the words I wanted to say.
It goes back and forth.
Okay.
I'm reading a physical book right now, but I also read a lot of ebooks.
The Bible?
No, I'm actually reading Stephen King's. I think it's Wizard and Glass. It's the 4th Dark Tower book.
You're starting at the 4th book.
I read the other. Okay. I read the first 3, Tim, and now I'm heading back towards the Dark Tower.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, because you loved the movie so much, and you were like, "Well, I gotta read this to believe it."
That was such a bad movie. It was unbelievable. Such a bad movie with like Idris Elba is one of my favorite guys.
Yeah.
And like I like Matthew McConaughey usually a lot too. He can be in some real stinkers sometimes.
Sure.
But
actually, I don't know if that's true.
No?
Name one stinker McConaughey's been in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking more like
you're just
late 90s, early 2000s.
He was in some romantic.
Yeah.
I guess rom-com is another way of saying romantic comedy.
Yeah. It's a quicker way. I like to save time on this show.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it had like a lot of promise, and it was one of those things where it was like there was this crazy plan of we're gonna put out a movie like every year, and then in between there will be a season on HBO with like the rest of everything, and then there will be another movie. And this was, I think it was Ron Howard and what's his name, Brian
Singer?
Yeah,
no, Brian
Grazer. That were doing this, and it's like these guys know how to make movies. How the hell did they think this was going to work? That they were going to be like...
How many books is it?
7 books.
7 books.
And they were going to do 7 movies and 7 TV shows, or like combine 7, like
and
4
instead
seasons,
they made
3
it all
movies.
into one 84-minute movie.
Yeah. That movie has, I mean, I've talked on this show before. I am such a huge fan of watching movies that have obvious reshoots. I find it just fascinating to like see the seams. And that movie, there are parts in the movie where like a character's back will be to the camera and they'll be like, well, let's have this conversation somewhere else. And then they'll just go to like a warehouse. And, you know, like the little boy character is obviously like 3 years older. So I liked it for that aspect.
You liked it because it was bad.
Yeah. I mean, and it had elements from the book in it.
Right.
That were cool to like see on screen.
Was the gunslinger there?
Yeah, that was Idris Elba. He played the gunslinger.
When I was a kid, several times I tried to read the first book of the Dark Tower series, and it was just too dang boring, Tom.
Yeah. I mean, the books are interesting too because like Stephen King wrote them over a course of like, I don't know, like 30 years, I think.
Yeah, like in between he almost died and then went a little crazy and started writing himself into them.
Yeah. But you see his writing kind of evolve as he's writing it. And I think that first book he did go back and like do another pass on it.
You shouldn't be allowed to do that.
I think he had like a very persuasive, I think it was mostly like, it's mine, I can do whatever I want.
I know, but you shouldn't be allowed to do it. Look what that scoundrel George Lucas did to Star Wars.
I don't know. People are turning the other way on old
Listen,
George.
you piece of crap, Tom. Han shot first, and I'll kill you if you say otherwise.
I mean, I think it's more bad that like he was like, I'm gonna tinker with my old movies now that computer effects are so good, and he was wrong. They weren't that good yet. So now you watch these movies, and they've replaced like very good practical effects with bad early 2000s CG, and that's what looks real shitty.
Remember, people got up in arms at Steven Spielberg because he replaced the cops in E.T. had guns.
With the walkie-talkies.
Yeah, but also like, who cares?
Yeah,
you guys got to worry about like Star Wars. I imagine
it's one shot, and it's like I'm sure that like helped it play on TV more or something. Just taking guns out of it is reduce the rating. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, Tom. All right, we're continuing our snap
This
poll.
is called reading books, not watching movies.
Yeah, I know, but wouldn't we all rather be watching movies than reading books? I think that's the inherent problem with books. They're not movies.
Even if you go to the arts section, if they got a bunch of movies about books about movies.
Tom? Mm-hmm. Hardcover or paperback?
Ooh, I like paperback more.
Ooh. You know what? There's too much variation in paperback. Because trade paperbacks, sometimes it's like, you're printing all the way to the spine. I got to crack this open too much.
No, but see, that's what I love trade paperbacks. Because
you could just treat them like crap.
Yeah, you can treat them like shit. Because it's like, this didn't cost me much money.
It cost me $2.
Yeah. Like the copy of Wizard and Glass I'm reading right now is a paperback. It's a trade paperback, not a mass market. So like it's bigger, but it's a used copy, so it's like already worn.
Yeah.
So I'm like, great. Now I'm not, because I get, if I buy like a new hardcover book that's like $40, like, let me put my gloves on before. Let me
try
not
to
crack
return
the spine.
Yeah.
I'll just try and peek in between the pages. Yeah, and then I return it when I'm done.
Yeah. Can I ask you something?
Mm-hmm.
This happens in both paperback, not trade paperback, but or what's the crappy one?
Mass market.
Mass market. I was talking about mass market before. All right, this happens.
Mass market is like the smaller ones that would like fit in a pocket.
Right. All right. The fancy paperback and the hardcover sometimes have this thing where, and I think this is like. The publishers, and I don't know about this, Tom. Mm-hmm. They must think it seems more bespoke or something, where the pages on the right side
uneven
are all uneven.
Yeah.
What the hell is this about? Why are they doing this?
I think
did they mess up one time and they're like, "Ooh, this seems rustic."
I mean, I think that they always knew. They didn't mess up. I think they always knew, like...
Why don't you just cut it straight?
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is that most look like that, and then they
Bantam Publishing.
Then they have a process to, like, cut it straight, and, at some point they were like, oh, let's not do that, and this will look kind of, like, handmade.
Yeah.
It is annoying, because it's kind of hard to flip through
Then you
those.
gotta, like, lick your fingers.
Well...
Now you're in a finger-licking situation, because you can't
you can't just get the edge of it. Yeah, I don't like those. It always seems to me kind of like, I don't know, phony.
Yeah, if you're listening, bookmakers, knock it off.
Yeah. Hey, give us some flat edges here that we can really get our fingers around.
Tom? Mm-hmm. If you had your druthers.
Yes.
This is the last snap poll.
Thank God. Then we get into the essay portion.
Yeah. All right, let's say a long book.
Uh-huh. Do you read the whole thing?
Audiobook or non-audio?
It depends. Like I'll like a long audiobook if I've got a bunch of time to listen to it. Like if I'm going to be in the car a lot or like commuting a lot, then that's great. but otherwise, I think I prefer a physical book that I can read, or an ebook that I can read.
Tom, I have a mea culpa.
Yes.
In the past, you may have heard me say, listening to an audiobook
doesn't count.
You haven't
that it's
read
not
the book.
reading. Yeah.
I still think it's not reading, because listening is not reading. No, people aren't reading the podcast right now that we're recording.
But I'm reading it off the script, though.
I know, but we don't like to. We like to pretend this is off.
But that's what the script says to say right now.
I know it's what the script says, and what does it say that I'm supposed to say now?
It says that you're supposed to say, "Look, let's just move past this."
Look, let's just move past this time.
Okay.
I think my problem with audiobooks was that when I listen to audio, sometimes my mind wanders.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's easier
just
for your mind to
assumed,
wander.
Well, if everybody's listening to audiobooks the way that I listen to audiobooks, then they're not actually getting the content.
Yeah.
It's like skimming a book.
Yeah.
Because they're popping in once in a while.
So let me ask you a snap poll.
Okay, snap poll. Tables have turned.
AKA a question. Do
You
ever,
know, I gotta answer it quickly.
Do you ever? I don't care if you take your time.
Then it's not a snap
You can
poll.
get back to me next
Stop
week
trying
about
to
it.
do a table turn on the snap poll.
Do you ever just sit down and listen to an audiobook?
No.
Okay. I don't either.
That's
and
insane.
I don't know why.
Well, no, because at that point, just read the book.
But
your
if I
eyes
don't
are
have the book, if I have the audiobook.
Amazon.com.
Uh-huh.
Back in the day, they were doing a thing where you could buy a bundle, right?
Whisper Sync. Yeah, they still do it.
Yeah. To me, that makes sense. Although,
basically
I don't think anybody should ever buy anything from Amazon for any reason.
You can buy... Well, it's the only place my books are available, Tim.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I buy all your books there. Several copies.
Whisper Sync is you buy an ebook copy.
It's very quiet.
They'll give you a discount
really like
on some
this.
books for the audiobook version, and then usually I think it's half price, and they will sync between each other, so you can switch back and forth between the ebook and audiobook, which is great. And I wish that they actually pursued that more aggressively and kind of got the publishers on board with making that a more affordable option.
Right.
Because otherwise it is kind of you're buying something twice.
Yeah.
I rarely do it, but I'll do it sometimes sometimes they'll give you a very good, it's for $2 you can get the audiobook version, and then I'll do it.
Yeah. I will say this, Tom. I crapped all over audiobooks because I was like, oh, you know what? My mind starts to wander. But I did listen to an audiobook of 11/22/63 by Stephen King. What is this, Stephen King cast?
Yeah.
What are we
doing? He
here?
does write books. He
writes
writes
a lot of it. He writes
writes
most of the books.
Yeah, he does write more books than most.
And I read books. I comprehend books. But you asked me about a book 3 years after I read it. I'm just one time a friend of the show, Andrew, who filled in for you one time, was like, "Hey, did you ever read this
Scoundrel.
book?" And we were talking about a book that we both had read years before, and I was like, "I like that book," and he's like, "I didn't like that book," and then he started talking about characters, and he was like, "When this character did this specific thing, it just didn't make any sense," and it's like, "Oh, you remember the characters and the plot points of this book?" No, I read it. And I liked it because at the time I was like, oh, that was fun. But a month later, I didn't remember anything about the book.
Well, Andrew's a weird case because I think
smart and we're not.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Andrew reads more than both of us combined.
Oh, yeah.
And you would think that would make him remember books less.
Yeah.
but he has like an uncanny ability to like recall plot details and like characters and stuff. He does the same thing with movies, and I think he might just pay attention.
I think his brain is just better than both of our brains, and we're like, what a weirdo.
Some kind of a genius savant here. He's able to remember what he read.
But I would always crap on people because like, oh, they're not listening to audiobooks. That book, 11/22/63, which I listened to on a commute.
Yeah.
I remember.
In the car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tom, that's the only book I've consumed in any way that I can tell you anything about. I remember every detail about that book.
What was the main character's name?
Charlie.
Was it?
Yeah.
He had two names. What was his other name?
Doug.
Is that true? I mean, I have no way of... I mean, I guess I do have a way of finding these things out. But neither of those sounds very familiar to me.
What do you think they are?
I don't know, but I'm just saying that those don't sound very familiar.
I'm looking it up. Charlie and Doug.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, no need for me to look it up myself then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to say that I also think for somebody like Stephen King... the publisher in that case is pulling out all the stops and probably getting like a phenomenal narrator.
Right. This guy was great. This guy was top notch.
Like I'm listening to a book right now, occasionally on tape, where the narrator keeps pronouncing synapses as synopsis.
What?
It's driving me out of my mind.
Tom,
it's driving me out of my synopsis.
Tom, this happened to me. Everybody read that book, Sapiens?
Yeah.
And everybody's raving about that book, Sapiens. And somebody was recommending it and talking a lot about it and being like all hoity-toity about it. And they're like, I just read this book, Sapiens. I was like, well...
Is it Homo sapiens, you idiot?
Yeah. I mean... I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe we're saying it
I'm
wrong.
also one of these guys that like... and I'm told that this is an intelligent thing. Mm-hmm. If you mispronounce words that you've read,
I've told you that after you've made fun of me for mispronouncing words. I've been told.
Yeah, I've been told by some idiot. Right.
Yeah, that a lot of times when people mispronounce words, it's because they've learned them from reading rather than hearing some.
But my contention isn't that that's wrong. Mm-hmm. It's that like when you mispronounce words, that's not why.
Then why do I do it?
Because your brain isn't good.
Okay,
and my brain isn't good. And we've established this. Tom,
mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some ways from RealSimple.com. that we could read more books.
Okay.
Even if it feels like you're too busy.
Yeah.
Tom, number 1, put an end mark on your work day. Are you not reading books because you're working into the night too much?
No.
Yeah, me neither. We can throw that one out.
I do I've recently been reading at the end of like a work day at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'll sit down and read for a little. And I find that is like a good way to kind of transition.
Yeah, I'm working from home now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I used to read a lot commuting to and from work. And now there is something to this, RealSimple.com. I think they might be right. There is just this amorphous time where I'm working. I'm kind of working and doing other stuff for a little while. And then all of a sudden I'm just half watching TV and looking at my phone. And I don't know how that happened. I don't remember stopping working.
I guess, is it dinner time?
Should
I make dinner?
And it's just and then suddenly, it's 11:30 p.m. I should probably go to bed, right?
Yeah.
So maybe just being hey, I want to read more books.
Yeah.
Work time stops at 5:30. Okay, cool. Now, rather than
dick around,
drift into this weird thing where something, it's okay, now I have free time. Let me pick up a book.
I find...
In my case, let me ignore my infant son and pick up a book.
I find that for me...
I have to read hey, sorry, I know you want to play, with your dad, but I need to know the next story in Dave Grohl's The Storyteller. This is the one where he meets his punk rock cousin for the first time.
I find that it's like a good way to end the workday from working at home because it like kind of feels like work. Like it feels like a serious, like it
feels productive.
Yeah. It's something that requires my attention and like I feel good about doing it, but it is purely for pleasure that I'm doing it. Right. So yeah, it's a nice transition. I was going to say this too, and I was reading about this when I was researching for this episode, and it's something that I've heard before and known before, but always forget. The idea of like, hey, you can read 10 minutes a day, and if you read for 10 minutes a day, guess what? You're going to read, like 1 million words by the end. You're going to finish, a dozen books doing that.
It's the same thing, like if at the start of the goddamn pandemic, I just did that thing where you did 20 push-ups every day.
Yeah.
I'd be lifting cars over my head now,
yeah.
Tom.
It's because I fall into that trap sometimes of like, oh, I'm not going to read unless I have like the perfect atmosphere and the rest of my day's cleared. And I'm not a person that sits and reads for hours on end. That's just not me. And thinking about like knowing people in my life that are like prolific readers, that's what they do. That's just like the person that always has a book with them and reads it whenever there's any kind of downtime.
This was Al Gore's vision in the 90s. Remember when he went around, when he was like doing talk shows in like 1997?
Yeah, well, but then he invented the internet and it was like, well.
I can't believe he claimed to invent the internet. He didn't. He said that he supported the bill that fucking funded it, and he did.
Yeah. It would also be very funny to me if like that whole sentiment turned of like, Al Gore said he invented the internet. Of course he didn't. To like, fuck Al Gore. He invented the internet.
Yeah,
it's his fault.
He broke all of our brains. But he would remember he would like when the vice president would go on talk shows.
Yeah.
And he was like, if everybody just had I don't remember how he talked.
Yeah, he has a little bit of a southern accent.
Yeah, if everybody just brought a book, and when you're waiting in line at the store, everybody was just reading a book, we'd all read so many more books. And it's like, yeah, we're like, yeah, whatever, hayseed, you idiot. Well, what's next? You think the world's getting hotter at an alarming rate? But
let's hear some more of your crazy ideas.
Now that's definitely not possible because when you're in line at the freaking store, you're just like, no, I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull out my phone and look at. I don't know.
I won't
anything.
remember 10 minutes later what I was looking at, or even that I was looking at my phone.
Yeah.
Al Gore and Tom Reynolds giving the same reading advice.
Hey, two great men.
Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Create a cozy reading spot. Do you have a reading spot? I do not.
I don't either. I mean, I feel like that's advice for like people that have houses, not people that live in New York City apartments.
Sit in the same place you sat in all day because that's the only place you got.
But I mean, I've seen like, people, and I've like stayed in like Airbnbs and stuff where there's like a little reading nook, and like that is really nice.
Yeah.
Our friend AJ had like a reading chair in a little room.
Oh yeah, but it was weird. And
it was a very.
I never got the set. Like I don't think AJ reads that.
No,
much.
he was in the middle of telling me that, and his wife was like, he doesn't read in there.
Tom, the rest of this list is just kind of like silly stuff. But the last one, number 8.
Mm-hmm.
Stop reading books you don't like. Where
do you come that's down what I was saying.
Yeah. I don't like doing that.
You don't like reading books you don't like, or you don't like not reading books you don't like? I like
trying to
push yourself, challenge yourself a little bit.
Because like, how often are you not feeling a book? And exactly what you said before, you give yourself an hour, and then sometimes you're like, holy shit, this is the best book I've ever read in my whole life.
Yeah,
and in a month
you're
I
like,
won't remember
now I
it.
get it. Yeah.
But like sometimes you got to push through, and like this is my theory of why like I can't listen to albums anymore, new albums anymore, because like if something doesn't immediately grab me, it's just like,
there's 100 other options.
But when I bought a CD in the 90s. It's like, I bought this, I'm going to listen to it 100 times. You got a book? I'm just like, read it.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll get better. Maybe you'll start liking it.
I mean, yeah, I would say, instead of don't read books you don't like, don't let like a book you don't like stop you from reading. Either push through it or abandon it and do something else.
Yeah.
But don't just like leave it on your bedstand.
I just don't think like if at any point I was like, I'm not feeling this book, I'm gonna give up. If that was always my my reading history would be littered with books that I've read 25 pages of and like never finished a book in my life.
Yeah, there is, you kind of have to give, but I think also that the more you read, the better you're attuned to. Like sometimes, you will read something. And I feel like if you're reading a lot and you start reading something that you don't like, you maybe have a better idea of, can I push through this and I'll like it? Or the way it is written,
right,
I know that I'm not going to like this.
Yeah. Tom, I'm working my way through Robert Caro's LBJ biographies.
Did you get to the part where he talks about his bunghole yet?
Not yet. I mean, he's pretty crass throughout. I read I think there's 5 published, and there's one more coming, assuming Robert Caro
lives to publish it.
Lives to age 118 and finishes it. I'm on the third one, which people agree is the best one, Master of the Senate.
Okay.
But it starts out so goddamn dry.
Yeah.
And I'm just...
And you would think with a title like Master of the Senate.
But the first two were fantastic reads.
Yeah, about like when he was younger, right?
Yeah, and this is just like, everybody says it's great. I know that these books are right up my alley. And it's just like, now I just got to push through 100 pages of like the history of the Senate. But I'm going to do it, Tom. Why? Because I hate myself.
I hate myself and I hate LBJ.
Yeah, reading. Look, I've committed to reading like 8,000 pages about a man that I hate.
Yeah.
So here we go.
I mean, that's kind of, like I said, I'm reading this Dark Tower book. And it's just kind of like, I've read 3 of these. There's no way I'm not going to finish this series at this point. That would be, I mean, maybe it's a sunk cost fallacy, but whatever. I'm finishing it. Whether I watched like a review of them recently and was a little disheartened because I didn't really like the 3rd book all that much. And then I like watched a thing about all the books and they're like, everybody's favorite book, the 3rd book. And I'm like, oh shit. Maybe I'm not going to be so into this, but Tim, let me ask you some hard questions, some hard-hitting questions.
So this isn't a snap poll.
No, it's just a hard-hitting poll.
Oh, yeah.
What is your feeling about people that read alone at a bar?
No problem.
Yeah, you're not gonna point them out to the bouncer or something. Hey, you got a nerd in here. Bars are supposed to be cool.
I mean, I feel like at some point in my life, I was like, you think you're cool because you're reading the... Like, as long as it's not like a guy in 2005 who's also like, I listen to the Decemberists, and this is... And, like, as long as it's not an affectation, like...
And I'm reading Infinite Jest for the 4th time at this bar.
You ever read Infinite Jest?
No, I've never read any of his stuff. Yeah, I feel like that was a thing for like a minute where people were real mad at people reading in bars, at least in Brooklyn here. And I
think a lot, like much like stuff that happened in Brooklyn at that time, it was performative.
Yes.
In many cases.
Yeah.
And it was like, ooh, now ladies will think I'm mysterious and arty.
I definitely remember seeing men reading books in Brooklyn bars who would maybe read like a page or two and then close the book, drink, kind of like look around, open the book back up. And that it was like, oh, you're not enjoying reading that. You're not absorbed in that. You are trying to, be somebody here. And that's annoying.
Brooklyn in 2007 is where you went to be seen.
Yeah.
Dress to impress.
Dress to impress. Hey, bring out that book. Let's see what you're reading. Maybe some attractive woman's going to come over and be like, oh, you're reading Infinite Jest? Wow, you're the hottest man I've ever seen. I was reading about actually on...
was that the whole snap poll?
Oh, no. What was my other snap poll? Oh, my other snap poll... maybe I'll wait for after the plugs for the second snap poll.
I feel like we haven't even scratched the...
I know.
We need to do...
a secondary podcast called Books the Podcast.
Do we need to do Books Month on The Complete Guide to Everything? Because we haven't even scratched the surface of bookstore. I know you wanted to talk about bookstores.
Well, we can do an episode about bookstores.
Yeah.
I was going to... I actually forgot to make the joke at the beginning of this podcast to say, well, March is National Reading Month. So we're doing an episode here in August about reading books. Hey, if you like the show, go to tcgte.com to find out more about the show. I mean, there's not much more to find out, but there are links to like our subreddit, our Discord, our social media stuff.
Get on the subreddit. Start discussing these episodes. Get on the Discord. It's a great community.
Yeah.
Go check that stuff out.
Also, we got live shows coming up in London, England.
If you're in London, I cut all of this out of the promo that we cut, Tom, so I'm going to say it now.
Great.
Look, I'm a little apprehensive about traveling.
Tim's on a lot of lists.
I think it's going to be a real fun time. It's our first time doing shows in London in a number of years because we used to go every year.
Yeah.
This goddamn global pandemic happened.
Yeah.
If you're in London or around London and have ever been curious about coming to a show, please do. Let's make these so much fun. Let's make it a great time for everybody.
Let's make it so much fun that me and you don't even have to do anything.
No, it's just like...
Yeah, no, they're going to be... I think...
Let's celebrate that we can do it. Like, it sounds cheesy, but like, it's... we didn't get to do this.
Yeah.
And like, that sucked. That was a bummer.
Yeah, we're both very excited about doing it again.
Appreciate the fact that we're able to do this, and we're gonna do a real good job on stage, and you're gonna love it.
September 16th and 17th, tcgt.com/live. The 17th show is also online. Tickets are available if you want to watch it streaming. If you're not local to the area,
tcgte.com/live.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Reynolds.
Follow me at your pal Tim. I tweeted for the first time in months today.
Hey, look at that. Hey, if you want to sign up for Twitter and follow Tim after that, I don't know what to tell you.
I'll tell you how many likes it's up to.
Oh, here we go. Oh, I can't wait to hear. How many likes, Tim? Do you not even know how to use the website anymore? You can't find this stuff out quickly?
I had to type.
You don't have it bookmarked?
I don't have it bookmarked.
Command D.
What do you think? How many?
15 likes.
12 likes.
All right. Well, your pal Tim. You can follow Tim on Instagram. Maybe you can be the lucky 13th like on there. Tim, what was my last question again?
3 retweets though, Tom. That's
not bad. Yeah, I mean, like you, I don't even have, we barely scratched the surface of some of the stuff I had to talk about. But 2 things. The first one, do you believe in the idea that some people have proposed that books are a form of telepathy?
What the fuck are you talking about?
That it is a way to transmit ideas from one person to another across space and time without vocalizing. Or have you never heard this before?
I've never heard this. That's like, if we're thinking like, oh, strictly speaking, this is a...
Well, I think it's also it's a means of like transmitting information that then when other brains receive it, they're painting a picture in their own head. So it's a way to like transmit thoughts. At its best. I mean, of course, like not every book is going to be like, wow, that felt like, but like a really good book where it's like, wow, I can really picture this in my mind's eye.
Well, would a painting also be telepathy then?
Yeah, it could be. I also forgot to mention, let me get this out of the way, that Carrie suggested this topic. One name.
The lady from the book?
No, Jim Carrey, I think.
Okay.
Suggested this topic on our Patreon because we posted looking for topics. So thank you, Carrie. A great topic.
Fantastic topic.
Other people had like similar topics, but they had reading books, which is what we did. And the second thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap up is that remember, like, there was all that talk about like George W. Bush. He reads like a book a week, two books a week sometimes. I looked into that more. That was Karl Rove that said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a famous liar that was like, notorious for also like doing whatever it takes to get things done. It was like, oh, everybody thinks Bush is a dummy. Guess what? I'm going to do one interview where I say, actually, he reads more books than anybody you know. And that'll be it. And enough people will be like, oh, I guess that must be true.
Yeah. Look, I'll say a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, if a president is in office, like when Obama was like, here's my top 30 books from last year.
Yeah,
and it's like, sir, you're the goddamn president of the United States. You shouldn't be spending all your time reading these books.
Yeah, I mean that.
And number
Bush,
2 shouldn't be "Sex" by Madonna.
At one point,
number 1,
Bush claimed to read like 95 books in a year, I think in 2006. And it's like, look, you're either lying or you need to find somebody else to do this job.
And then another thing is George W. Bush was giving I used to have the quote on hand. He's giving a tour to like school children came to the White House.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is a portrait of George Washington. An interesting fact about George Washington is that I read 5 books about him last year. It's like, that's not an interesting fact about George Washington. That's not even an interesting fact about...
wooden teeth, for God's sake. Tell the kids about that.
Yeah, that's you bragging to kids about reading a book when you should have been... I mean, I guess you would have started more wars.
But also, it's like you read 5 books about him last year. Certainly, there was a lot of fucking overlap between some of those books. Come on, you're the president. You could have somebody. Hey, you read these 5 books and just collate it into one big book for me to read.
Well, George W. Bush. Hey. Don't blame me. I didn't vote for Slick Willie.
He didn't run against George W. Bush.
George W. Bush kind of did run against him.
Because Al Gore.
And he was
just
like,
oh,
look what they did to the White House. We're going to restore honor to the White House.
By starting a bunch of wars. Yeah, and it worked. Everybody loves him today. Everybody does. The whole like, he's a fun grandpa. Fuck that idiot.
Yeah, when I was... did I tell you about the time when I saw him speak?
I don't know.
It's for like a work thing.
Mm.
And he came out. It was at Carnegie Hall, and I was in like the second row.
Yeah.
And he came out, and it was like part of a larger thing.
Uh-huh.
And everybody there gave him New York City gave him a fucking standing ovation in like
a lot of rich people in New York City.
Yeah. And like, come on, like... Tim, just yell war criminal when he's trying to talk. Like, get kicked out of there. I didn't want to also lose my job because it's a work thing. But that's how they get you.
Yeah. Yeah, just, I mean, there wasn't even really a rehabilitation of his. It was just like, he likes painting now.
Yeah.
He paints pictures of the people that went to the war he started.
Yeah, the people that came back horribly disfigured.
Yeah, but at least they got a painting out of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't read. That's my point.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.